Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for Woodson, Wilson, and Montgomery counties for hosting this. Thank you for coming out. It's a Tuesday evening. There's a lot of other things you would probably rather be doing. We appreciate this. It's always good when I'm able to be with my fellow gubernatorial candidates and also the other statewide and congressional candidates. But none of this would work if people didn't come out and listen, and so we appreciate that. I also want to give a shout out to the three county chairs, particularly the Mark Pringle, who also ran for the Kansas Senate this last time. And we could have also used him in the Senate, and then Gail Harshaw for putting this together, and then of course my former colleague in the House, Jim Miller, down in Montgomery County, and we had a great time serving together back in the day. It's also fun for me in Fredonia. I get to play the family card here. I usually try to announce the Team Swatty people that are here, Leroy Younger, who travels with me, and Kelly Atherton, who's here helping with the campaign. But the fun thing about Fredonia is, like, when I say Team Swatty, I'm talking Team Swatty, because we've got good Swatties down here. This has been a bastion of Swatties in southeast Kansas for a long time. And I have to say, it makes me very proud. We're very proud to come into a place and introduce myself at a table, and they talk about how great my family is, particularly Howard, the beloved art teacher here, and all that he did for this community and he did for the arts here, because actually our family's really big, and so I didn't even know Howard that much. And I love coming in and being able to talk to people that say, he was an amazing art teacher, and I loved having him. And one of the reasons that I'm running is because I care about this state. My family's been here a long time. My dad's side arrived in 1864 and started farming in the center of the state of Kansas. I'm from Ellsworth. My mom's side came in the 1880s. They were Italians, and they settled in Osage County and worked the deep shaft coal mines. And so we were here very, very early. As I tell people, my original member of the family that got out here was driving a freight wagon between Fort Riley and Fort Larned and settled right in the middle of those and started farming. So we were here before there were schools. We helped build the schools. We were here before there were roads. We helped build the roads. And when I think about this state, and I think about the condition it's in right now, I think this is not what they built. This is not what they've invested 5 generations in. This is not the idea of Kansas, this sensible, reasonable, well-governed place that we have sustained over many, many generations through a lot of hard times. And when I think about my own 4 children, I say, this is not what I want for their future. And so this is not really an opportune time for me to run for governor. My wife, Kimberly, and I have 4 children. The youngest is going to be 9 months old here in about a week. But we said, that's it. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to sit back and let Chris Kobach become governor and say, I could have done something to stop that, but I chose instead to sit back and just have a nice life and a nice career. So we got into the race. And we've been campaigning hard all across the state. And we never let up because we know how important it is to get the job done. And it's been fun to see the response all across the state. I was showing somebody earlier this evening, we had 8 high schoolers in liberal Kansas that were volunteer phone banking for us last night. Do you know the last time 8 high schoolers in liberal phone banked for a Democrat? I'm guessing it was never. Never. That is the least performing district in the state in terms of Democratic performance, and we had 8 high school kids that got their cell phones out and were phone banking for us because they believe in a positive vision for the future of Kansas, and that's what I want to talk about. There are some great things happening around the state. There are some communities that, despite everything happening in Topeka, continue to push forward, continue to do great things. They continue to be able to build businesses that employ people, and people can still have great lives here, but they need help from their state government. It starts with a good legislature, but that legislature cannot complete what they need to do without a governor working with them, and that's what I want to provide. So I am from Ellsworth originally. I served 7 years in the Kansas legislature. I was Secretary of Agriculture in the Parkinson administration. I was then a senior advisor at the Environmental Protection Agency. During that time, I started building my own farm with my wife, Kimberly, which is in Ellsworth. We split our time between Ellsworth and Topeka. I have what I believe is the most dynamic and exciting lieutenant governor in the state of Kansas. She's Katrina Lewison. She's from Hutchinson originally. She's a West Point graduate. She flew Black Hawk helicopters in the Iraq War, came back to West Point, taught cadets there, and then she and her husband came back to Kansas, where she's from, and they live in Manhattan. She's on the school board, and she and her husband have 3 children there. And each and every day, they look at their 3 children, and my wife and I look at our 4 children and say, how can we make this state better for them? So I ask you to join us. I look forward to this evening's forum, but thank you first and foremost for just coming out and listening to the candidates.